Chapter 4 The Great Goblin. Eerie music from the video game echoed throughout the computer lab. Melody gulped. Howie frowned. Liza whispered, "I told you so." But Eddie laughed and waited for the new teacher to send Melody to the principal's office. He was glad someone else was getting in trouble for a change. "What is the purpose of this tiny game?" Mr. Goble asked Melody. Melody's voice only shook a little bit when she answered. "You have to avoid the gargoyles and ghosts as you climb through the haunted house," she said. "The entire time the great goblins plot tricks to keep you from getting to the 10th level." Mr. Goble scratched his chin. What happens on the 10th level?" he asked. "You have to catch the master goblin," Melody said, "before he catches you." Mr. Goble leaned close to Melody. "What do you know about goblins?" he asked in a very low voice. Melody scooted back before answering. "Goblins are mischievous beings that haunt houses," she said. "They're like ghosts," a boy named Jake added. "Goblins play tricks on people," Huey called from the next row. "They're ugly," Eddie chipped in, "and they have warts." Melody nodded. "And the master goblin is the trickiest one of all." Mr. Goble leaned even closer to Melody until she felt his hot breath on her nose when he spoke. "And what do you know about catching goblins?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Nothing," Melody stammered. "That's why I'm stuck on the 7th level." Melody scooted further away from the computer teacher. Mr. Goble nodded and examined Melody's game. Then, with a flick of his finger, he started a new game of Master Goblin. The kids stared as their computer teacher tapped buttons and grinned. In no time, he was up to the 5th level. "I've never seen anybody learn that game so fast," whispered Howie. "How did you get to be so good?" Melody blurted. "It is easy," Mr. Goble said, "when you predict what the gargoyles and ghosts are going to do." By the end of the class, Mr. Goble was already to the 8th level. He handed the game back to Melody as the kids filed out of the room. "You're lucky Mr. Goble didn't tell Mrs. Jeepers you brought your game to class," Liza told Melody. Howie nodded. "Mr. Goble seems like a nice teacher." "I'm not so sure," Melody said slowly. "Something about him gives me the creeps." "Melody is just mad because he's good at her silly video game," Eddie said with a laugh. "He got to a higher level in 5 minutes than she was able to do all weekend. I bet our new computer teacher is going to catch the Master Goblin before Melody does." No sooner were the words out of Eddie's mouth than the lights flickered and went out. The kids found themselves in total darkness as an evil laugh echoed throughout the halls, sending goosebumps racing up every kid's back.